evening, everyone. We will go ahead and get started with a public session of the September 15th meeting of the Franklin School Board, and we will start with our salute to the flag. Were the meetings posted as required? Robin. Kim. Oh my gosh. Kim. Sorry. Thank you, Kim. All right. Item number 4, we have public participation. Take no more than half an hour for this. If members of the public would like to speak, we ask that you say your name and what ward you are in, and try to keep your statements to under 3 minutes. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak tonight? Come on up.
Okay.
Can you just tell us your name?
Andrew Bacon. I'm in 7th grade.
7th grade.
I'm going to open up my doc so that I can talk.
Sure.
I think we're Ward 3.
Ward 3? Okay.
What's a ward?
Don't worry about that part.
Okay. Can I say right here?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. When do I start speaking? Okay. Hello, my name is Benjamin Bacon. I'm in 7th grade. There's something that has been bothering me that I wish to change, and that's why I'm here. Last year, there's a thing that was implemented that was a 3 strikes and you're out thing, and the 3 strikes was completely subjective. What is considered walking fast? Depending on who's watching, you get detention for something that a different teacher was completely okay with. Like me, got detention for the first time at the school district, and no one could find out what I did wrong. So one day I got sent up to the library for detention, having no idea why. So I got punished, and no one could tell me why I got punished, and no one knew why I got punished. And that got me thinking, why don't the students have any say in what is implemented? As a student, I think we should get a say in new rules that are going to be affecting us. So I think that there should be one student for each grade that gets nominated to say their part in the school board meeting. So I'm okay with it being just my grade, since I'm more than willing to put aside times once or twice a month to get my say and attend these meetings. So in conclusion, I think that the students should get some say in what will affect us while we're at school. And thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
Thank you, Excellent. Thank you. Any other members of the public who would wish to speak? All right. Thank you very much. We'll close that item. And we will move to item number 5, Our Students, Our Schools, with Principal Beck.
Hi. So, got 3 people here tonight who are going to talk about for about half an hour, right, you said? So, what we want to talk about tonight is a new, I don't say some are new, some new, brand new, some old programs that we are enrolled here at Franklin High School. So currently, between the Career Technical Center in Laconia and the WIC, which is the Winter Career Center, we are shuffling 27 students in and out of our building each day. And at the Career Technical Center, which is something you've all known about, just to go over some of the courses, there's biotech, building and construction, business, digital media, health sciences, law enforcement, plumbing and heating, and teacher prep 1 and 2. So those are all 2-year programs. For the first time since I've been here, we're actually sending we have 3 different runs that are going throughout the day because of enrollment. As you're aware, Winnisquam just opened their new center, and we have 14 students attending that. There's animal science, business and agriculture, cosmetology, design, create, and fabricate. So what I thought tonight is I asked a few of the students to come and just share about their experience. Addie is in year 2 of the teacher prep, right? And our other 2 ladies are at the WIC. What are you both doing? Cosmetology and? You're on WIC? Oh, just 2 of you then. All right, so Addie, do you mind going first and telling us about your experience at the, you can stand up, come to the front.
Like what I do?
Yeah, what you do. So this is basically the teacher prep program? Yeah. All right.
So last year was my first year at Hewitt, and I learned like how to properly communicate professionally and effectively with other teachers, students, and just like professionally. and I learned all about the brain and the different types of ways people learn. And pretty much the whole second semester last year, I got to go into a fourth grade classroom at one of the Laconia elementary schools once a week, and basically get experience as an internship and help figure out what I want to do. And this year, I have a separate internship for whatever I want to do, wherever I want to do it. And I don't really know where that's going to be yet, but that's going to be 2 days a week. And then basically it will just be learning about how to just teach and become an effective and engaging teacher and communicator. And a lot of people in my class right now are doing psychiatry or social work, and that's their intended plan after high school.
So do you want to be a teacher?
Yeah.
Do you have a grade or a topic, or is it a grade? You want to be elementary?
I think I want to be early elementary, so preschool, kindergarten.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you looking for to go? Any questions for her?
What year are you?
I'm a senior.
Have they said if any of these credits can transfer, if you move on to another teaching school?
Yeah. They can transfer as long as the college, I think if I remember, as long as the college has that community college, what is it called?
Early college,
agreement.
dual agreement?
Yeah,
dual
they have
enrollment.
that agreement, then the credits can transfer.
For your second internship, are you gonna try to go where you wanna go, or are you gonna try high school?
I'll probably just try to go where I want to, probably just try elementary, simple, yeah.
What grades have you worked with?
I've worked with 4th grade, preschool, and I'm a daycare teacher in yeah.
So are you doing the preschool at the UA Tech Center right
Yeah.
there? And you get to watch through the glass and everything?
Yeah,
and
they have this
observe?
glass, and I get to go in and I can help them play with the centers and figure out their letters and help them just learn their preschool curriculum.
What advice would you give to students who are afraid to leave the high school building to go and do a career technical center or WIC course?
Probably just it's I was nervous at first, but everybody there is super inviting, and everybody's new there in your class. Nobody really knows each other at the beginning, and it'll just be great. It's a great program.
Other questions for Addie? Thank you, Addie. Bella, you're up. Get up here. So we've only been in school 11 days, I'm counting, and this is brand new cosmetology.
Yes.
Tell us about cosmetology, please.
Cosmetology has always been really fun. We haven't been doing a lot in paperwork, but we have been working with each other's hair and mannequins, brushing and learning how to part, doing tinsel and hair feathers, which I haven't exactly not yet. But it's a really nice building, honestly. There's a bunch of mirrors and chairs, lawn chairs and everything. I don't know.
Why did you choose cosmetology? Of all the things you could have chose, why did you pick that?
Because my mom dyes her hair pink a lot. She has been, honestly.
Are you getting pink moving forward?
I will be, yes.
Okay, all right.
She's been dyeing her hair since I've been little, in a lot of different colors, and I always wanted to learn how to do that to my own hair, and other people's hair.
What are you looking to do? Are you looking, what excites you about what is coming up? Is it just hair? Is it makeup? Is it nails?
It's hair and nails.
Okay.
I'm not excited about makeup. I don't wear a lot of makeup, but nails have always interested me in people's hair. I love making people with really colorful and unique hair.
Questions for Bella? No?
When you finish the program, do you come out as a certified cosmetologist, or do you have to go on to further?
So you still have to go to a beauty school, but with the cosmetology program, it's 2 years. So you have hours off of the normal time you would have to.
So you're getting some bonus hours ahead of time, so those come off the top when you doing, if you go to Empire Beauty or something like that.
Yeah.
Have you had any guest people come in yet?
No, to do that I need an apprentice license, which I do that I have to do.
So you're gonna really cut people's hair there? Anybody need a haircut? Jack? Anybody, any other questions? So why decide to do that. Again, I asked this question because it's scary to leave the comforts of Franklin to go to a strange school and do this. What, it's kind of like, I gotta do this, other than your mom's here.
When I first like heard of it, I've always wanted to be a hairdresser, which I've always loved millennials. But like when I came to high school and I was thinking, what do I want to do for my future? I wanted to be like a hairdresser. I wanted to work with different types of people and have connections with people who I normally wouldn't because I'm scared to go to people. So it's honestly about the part of communicating who I normally wouldn't and being able to do something for them that I would normally be able to do without being a hairdresser or whatever the heck.
Question, any more questions? I can ask a question for both of you because their schedule, the way the Career Technical Center and the WIC, it interrupts our school day and they're coming back in the middle of things or at the end of things. What are you doing differently when you get back, or what does your day look like? Like we've kind of had to make some adjustments to your schedule. What does that look like for you?
When I come back, some days I already have a class that's going on and I just join that class. Like the teacher updates me on what we've done and how I need to do things, and it's really easy to do that. Other days I have like a time period. It's like an hour, 45 minutes, depending on when we come back. And I go to someone else's classroom and help TA for community service hours.
What about you? What do you do?
So I have senior privileges, so this year I just get to go home if I don't have a class, which most of the time I don't. And then last year, if we had tornado support, so we had tornado support and I get back at like 2:30, and I would either go to tornado support, and once I got my junior privileges, I was able to like just leave early because of my privileges.
Any other questions for either of these two? Thank you. So we have 20-something students and we're navigating their schedules. One of the nice things about our schedule is, for example, Bella comes back on Tuesday, Thursdays, and she can go right to a class. Other days we're figuring out, a lot of our students are either doing a VLAX course to compensate, or they're doing TA. They're doing a lot of different things to support their academics here without losing credit. That's the other fear. Kids leave and they're like, oh, I'm gonna lose classes. I'm not gonna have time enough to graduate, so that stops them. So we've really navigated those students to get other credits in different methods. They have to order their lunch before they leave, so when they get back, they have their lunch. So kudos to our staff who've been really flexible. Hey, I'm coming to be 15 or 20 minutes late every day. We'll make it work. So good for them. The other part, again, when we talk about other learning opportunities, we have about 71 students doing LRCC courses right now, whether with us or different courses throughout the state. They're on their own. So pretty interesting that between this, we have nearly 100 students that are coming and going. I joke it's like a college campus right now because there's so many moving parts of our students coming and going with vans and buses, but our school counseling office has really stepped up and figured out to make sure that everybody's on track to graduate. And I envision this program, the WIC, doubling next year because this is just year one. They're not even into year 2 yet. So it could go to 40 kids next year. So be prepared for that. Questions yet?
So when do kids get an opportunity to join these programs?
So usually in the spring of their prior year, they come over. It's usually juniors and seniors, just because of it's a 2-year program. If the Career Technical Center, we get limited seats. So we always try to make sure that our juniors and seniors, because of the 2-year program, and same with the WIC, we get so many seats based on numbers of courses and what's available between all the sending schools. So if there are seats available, we will advocate for a sophomore to get into that. If they're not, it's always the juniors get the first choice, and then seniors, and then sophomores. We have a couple sophomores at the WIC right now. Career Technical Center is mostly juniors and seniors.
What about LRCC?
LRCC is whenever they want to go, they go. So we have students now that are fresh sophomores that are taking running start courses here in the building. We haven't had as many do the on campus or on their own. Our juniors and seniors really in the last year they're taking full advantage of the system right now, and they get through the state 2 classes for free, and then we budget money to pay for a 3rd class, so kids can really get 3 classes every year. And we're just trying to fine-tune a certificate program as well, so kids can leave here with a certificate program to move forward. hopefully in about a month or so, or a couple months, I'll come back with another thing that's happening in the community related to internships and apprenticeships.
Do you ever offer opportunities to freshmen for colleges?
It's, the running start is for the freshmen for career, for the dual enrollment. What we found is that the freshmen are not quite ready for that at this point. Can they do it? If there's opportunities, yes, but the state won't pay for that. You have to be, I think you have to be a sophomore, junior to get those scholarships for the state. But it's still, it's a pretty good price, $150 for a course.
Any questions? Thank you, Principal, for that. And thank you so much, students. We really appreciate being able to hear what you all are up to. It's really awesome and really
Fascinating. So thank you so much for taking the time to come out tonight. Yeah. Okay. That was awesome. We'll move on to item 6 now, recognitions.
So I'd like to share this news and recognize as well, Danny Sylvester, our athletic director, was named Athletic Director of the Year for Division 4, which was wonderful news. So congratulations to Danny for all his great work.
I have a recognition. Our tech director wanted us to mention a computer contractor that works with us called Troubadour Tech. We found ourselves with a program that we used to do authentication on computers. We were sent basically a cease and desist letter by a company that bought this other company, Broadcom, which bought VMware, and they said that we had to stop using our computers. So with that particular software to authenticate stuff. So we had to move everything over to Google Authenticate, basically. And this company basically said we did like over $5,000 worth of work, and Robin said, well, I have $2,000 earmarked for that. And they said, fine, we'll just do it for the $2,000. And they've been above and beyond being able to take care of all this work and working at all the kinks, because as we know, technology can have all kinds of hiccups and ghosts in the machines and stuff that just doesn't get things to work right. And she says they've been just over the top helpful and moving forward, and she wanted to express her appreciation to that company for helping us resolve our computer networking issues that we've been having. So.
Excellent. Thank you. Other recognitions? All right. Thank you so much for those. And we'll move on now to item 7, our FHS Student Representative Report with Kate.
Thank you. Students and staff are starting to get settled in. I've seen lots of activity and participation in classes, more than I've seen in previous years. This could be due to the cell phone ban, but who's to be sure? Students seem to be taking it very well. I haven't heard many complaints so far about it, or of any disciplinary issues due to the cell phone usage. Students seem to be very mature about the new law. The new Chromebooks are a huge improvement over the old ones. They have been running faster and smoother than the computers we had last year, and I haven't heard anybody complain about them, which is good. I do believe that this investment will be worthwhile. We have a college fair coming up soon on Thursday the 25th. This is a chance for the students to explore different options after high school, especially the juniors and the seniors. We will be having 14 different colleges and universities that are coming to talk to us about their school. And then we have a community service opportunity for the students. The Booster Club needs help at the concession stands at the football games. There has been a link sent to all of the students that sign up if they're interested.
great news about the Chromebooks.
Yes.
Share a unintended consequence of the cell phone ban. Now that students don't have their cell phones and allowed to use them, they use their Chromebooks a lot more. And Robin has noted that our bandwidth usage has doubled from last year because of it. Now, obviously, the nice thing about the Chromebooks is they're heavily filtered, so there's much more control as to content that can be watched on those devices, but that is an unintended consequence of the cell phone ban.
Hey, can use that of them. All right. Thank you. All right. Next, we have the approval of prior board minutes. Item 8, we have the regular minutes for August 25th, and we only had one non-public session, so we have the minutes for the non-public session for August 25th to approve.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from August 25th, 2025.
All right.
Second. Motion made by Jack, seconded by Leanne.
Any questions, comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Those minutes pass.
Make a motion to approve the non-public minutes from August 25th, 2025.
Motion made by Jack, seconded by Mike. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? The non-public minutes have also approved. And they're sealed. So we're good. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to item number 9, our financial report with Jefferson.
Okay. So good evening, everybody. I had uploaded our state financial reports to the board packet. I will go over some of this stuff. I spoke a lot last board meeting about all of our revenues and expenditures and how things were coming in. And once I've gotten down to the final numbers, there wasn't a whole lot of movement to a final number, so I'll just go over that quickly here. After we finished up a little bit more reconciliation, I had presented last time that our fund balance was sitting at $577,406. The final total came in at $580,800. And I had mentioned that we had projected a fund balance budgeted for the FY26 school year or fiscal year at $44,790, which left excess fund balance of $536,010. Now, when the final adequacy aid number came in, it was $293,308 less than what was estimated by the Department of Education back in November. So that $536,000 can be used to cover that $293,308 shortfall on the adequacy aid. And this leaves about $242,702 of fund balance. The loss of the Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention Grant was equivalent to approximately $242,000. Of that, we needed $137,756 of items that were in that grant to be covered, such as 45% of the coordinator of school wellness position, 50% of the high school climate specialist position, and 2/3 of our attendance liaison position. So we've been able to, obviously, with the excess fund balance, cover those shortfalls that we weren't anticipating until they hit us in the last few weeks. What we would intend to do is obviously use those excess fund balance to cover those components and anything left over to help with any unanticipated special education costs. So what I would like to do is request a motion to approve of that excess fund balance to cover the purposes that I had just laid out there. Obviously, after the board approval, then we have to write a resolution and council agenda report to the city council to also appropriate those funds, as we are hoping to do so. So I'd like to request a motion for the acceptance of those additional funds in the fund balance to cover those purposes that we hope to use them for.
Motion made by Jack. Seconded by Leanne. Any questions, comments for Jefferson?
If the grant's going to be reinstituted, would things be reallocated?
Yeah, so it would still be, I think, what we want to intend to use, if we were able to get that TBTP grant reinstated. Obviously, a lot of you saw that letter from our state legislators at the federal level to ask for reconsideration. We would definitely be able to use those funds for unanticipated special education costs, because that's our biggest variable, and we're already looking at potential a lot of unanticipated expenditures that we didn't have the funds budgeted for. So that would be our intended usage if that TBTP grant comes back, which would be nice. fingers crossed on that, that our federal legislators have influence over the director of DHS, Homeland Security.
Fingers crossed on that one. Any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Great. So as I mentioned, I uploaded the state financial forms. One's called the DOE 25 and the other one's called the MS 25. The DOE 25 goes to the Department of Education and the MS 25 goes to the Department of Revenue Administration. Typically they use those, well, the New Hampshire Department of Education uses it for statistical information and obviously tracking our expenditures. The MS 25 is used by the DRA to help with the rate setting process for the next year. Us being a tax cap city, we already know what our tax rate or tax assessment's going to be, so it's just part of the paperwork that needs to be submitted. I hope you had an opportunity, I emailed you all on Friday to get a chance to look at those if you want to. It's obviously a very detailed document, lots of numbers, and if that's not your wheelhouse, then it could just be kind of, your eyes might glaze over reading through it. There are some interesting pieces broken out in part of that DOE 25, like showing what your special education costs were. So like ours was, with all of the funds, revenue, local funds and federal funds, it was just over $7.1 million for special education costs. They also break out pieces like how much tuition you spent for special ed or regular ed, which in our case was over $900,000. So it's little bits, sections of tidbits of information that give you sort of a snapshot of what our year looked like. But what I would like to request is the school board to approve those two forms, and I need the school board then to sign the cover sheets for each of those documents, so I can send that in to upload to both of those agencies. So I'd like to ask for a motion to approve those two financial set documents.
So moved.
All right, motion made by Leanne. Seconded by Jane. Any questions or comments?
Do we need a motion for this? Because if we're signing them, don't we read?
I just took that on record that you approved them.
Hey, man.
You reviewed them.
Day and time is a good idea.
All right, all right. I don't want to be the only one on the hook.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
All right, so I'm going to pass around these cover sheets. It just has the superintendent and the school board needs to sign those on the.
Yeah.
Starting on page 15, where it says food service, on the one that's 25 pages long. When it gets to middle/junior high, there's like zeros.
So
Or-
our school is considered K through 8 for elementary.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's-
that's how it's been set up.
We
with
did that,
department.
Kayla, so we could still get the fruit and veggie grant. You had to be classified as an elementary school, so for us, we like, all right, well, that's how we're gonna classify, because we want our kids to have the fruit and veggie grant, so,
That makes sense.
yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? So we'll take a quick vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed? Abstentions? We shall sign.
Great, thank you. Okay, pass those around, everybody sign. Do you want me to talk about tuition rate, or do that as later?
Yeah, I could do that right now,
Okay.
it's fine.
So I also uploaded to the board folder a tuition rate setting, which usually comes right off of the DOE 25. At the end of that document, you see the cost per pupil based off of our ADM numbers, which I plug in from our EOY, or end of year report that we submit to Department of Education. The rates came in at, there's obviously a complex formula with how they determine it, but let me just open this up here, just a second here, so I have the numbers exactly right. Okay, so, based off of the DOE 25, our elementary cost per pupil, which is K through 8, our average daily membership, which is basically what they call average daily membership in residence, which is how many days of the school year a student lived in Franklin for that period of time. And for the elementary school, which is K through 8, it was 544.08. That calculated out to $24,250.89 cost per pupil on the elementary side. And for high school, we had an ADM of 275.55, which came to a cost of $20,452.14. The district-wide total is $22,973.79. What I would like to request is the school board set the tuition rate based off of those numbers. I believe these are the numbers that would also be what would be used in an open enrollment situation.
Okay.
Make a motion that the school board moves to accept the tuition rates as presented.
Okay, motion made by Michael,
Second.
seconded by Jack. Questions, comments? I have a quick question. In doing this, would we ever use the district-wide number, or if it's based on a specific student, would we use the elementary or high school one? Which one of these three would we be using? Any of them?
I mean, that's really a decision of the board to make. I would say with the potential situations that we're dealing with, I would use the number for each level.
Okay. Okay, but that's something we can kind of do on a case-by-case basis?
Case-by-case basis.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
All right, thank you very much, and that's all I have for you this evening.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so efficient. Okay, item 10, committee reports. Have any committees met? I know that a bunch of us are starting to meet tomorrow and over the next week or so. I don't believe any committee has met since we last met, because that was less than a month ago. Going once, going twice. Next month, we will have many, many reports. But for now, we will move on to item 11, new business with Superintendent Legala.
All right, thank you very much. So since we last met, we welcomed back about 170 staff members to our 2 days of in-service. We had 2 robust days of time together and hit the ground running. Kids came back right after Labor Day on Tuesday, and we're hitting week 3 here. So the first couple weeks are always about setting routines, building relationships, and in the superintendent's office, it's all about bus routes, bus stops, and those types of things. I am pleased to report that we had a very good beginning of school year in terms of buses and bus routes and bus stops. Met with the bus company actually this morning with Jefferson, and basically told them that was probably the best start of school in the last 10 years in terms of the work that they did to get things up and running. So we're in a good place there. We are almost at capacity on the buses, but not quite, which is a perfect place that you want to be, for sure. So we're hitting our stride. I've been in all 3 schools. The elementary school is rocking and rolling with 4th graders over there. Things are going well. Very busy place. Middle school is off to a great start. They've implemented some new approaches in terms of Monday morning all-school meeting and a Friday afternoon all-school meeting to build community over there. And by all accounts, they're off to a good start for the first 10 days. And the high school is rocking and rolling as well. Dave is doing a wonderful job with some of the personnel that we put in place to help support him. And I couldn't ask for a better start, to be honest with you. We'll talk about the cell phone piece in a minute, but I appreciate, Kaylee, your words about the cell phone. I was curious as to how your perspective was on how it was going, so thanks for sharing that. Cybersecurity pilot program. So we've been awarded $45,000 to participate in the cybersecurity pilot program. The information was in the board folder for your review, so I just need a motion to accept us as being a participant in that program.
Motion made by Lori. Ooh, seconded by Ruth. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Is there a difference between this one? I know this one's from FCC, but there's another one that is running in conjunction with the state that they're being offered for a couple different things. will those be in conflict with each other? Because there's a 3-year one for cybersecurity, and then I know we also did the .gov, which we already participated in and
Right.
switched to. So I didn't know what the differences were between the cybersecurity that was offered by, I can't remember, similar company, not FCC. I just wasn't sure if there was any other nuances in there.
We could definitely look into that, Jack. I'm not aware of a conflict, haven't spoken to Robin about that. Jefferson, has she mentioned anything to you?
No, I didn't, we haven't spoken with anything that related to the state cybersecurity program.
It wasn't one that the state was doing, it was one that they were endorsing, because there's another one that I guess they're tying in with national, but it wasn't through FCC. So, I know some schools are involved in it now, and then that's like a rolling one. So, there's another 3 years that'll go up to 2028, and I don't believe it was the same one here. So I just didn't know why we chose one over the other. That's all. Because I can't see the differences between the two and what this one's going to do, what other funds we may have to expend, because I did see the portion where it says that we would be responsible for some expenditures beyond. I can't remember what it was. I'm trying to find it now. It would be obligation to pay non-discount portion of costs. So I don't know what those costs are, and have we taken those into consideration? That's all.
So we certainly can look into that and try and get some answers for you.
Typically, I send them to you ahead of the meeting. I apologize.
No, that's
My questions.
I have a question that's a little similar. So we applied for this specifically, correct?
correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about why? Shift it a little bit.
Yes, it's all part of our cybersecurity infrastructure in terms of tidying up what we're doing. So in the last 3 years, we've been making all kinds of technological changes to increase security because of all of the cyber threats that schools are subjected to. So we've been staying ahead of the curve of most schools and trying to continue to do that. And this was another step in that direction to work with this particular grant and this particular company here to make this happen. But I have no problem at all trying to get answers to these questions before we approve this, if the board wants to wait and get some answers to what Jack is asking.
And a lot of these cybersecurity protocols that we're implementing too are part of our requirement with our insurance provider. Primex covers us for cybersecurity incidents, but that also means they want us to make sure that our infrastructure to work to prevent cybersecurity situations are in place, fulfill our obligation for the protection that we're looking to.
So some of the things we've done, like the YubiKey, this is a YubiKey, I don't know if people have seen the YubiKey, but that was one step that we took in the whole district. It was last year we did that. The .gov migration was done this summer, which was also recommended. So it's just this is another step in that direction of continuing to secure our infrastructure, so. But if you want, we can bring Robin in, and Robin would be the best person to specifically answer these questions if we need to.
It's the Overwatch Foundation, that's the one. The other schools I know are participating in. So I just didn't know why we chose this one over the other one. I've heard more about the Overwatch, I haven't heard anything about this one, so I want to make sure that we're not committing ourselves to any of those non-covered costs, and I don't know what they are. There's no line in there.
So do we feel comfortable moving forward, or do we want to go through the process of removing our second and our motion?
I know I would feel more comfortable waiting, but I mean, I'm only one person of 9, so.
I think we should wait.
We should wait? Okay, do you want to, you can remove your?
Well, I can make a motion to table and then bring it back,
Oh, yeah, I think that'd be faster.
because we can do that in the middle of a motion. But I wanted to get a consensus, if people are okay with that, and does this have to be passed tonight? What's the deadline? Can we do it at our next meeting in October?
My assumption is there's no deadline, so I'm gonna say that we're not looking for, you know, for an answer tonight, especially if you're not comfortable with it. I wouldn't want you to do that, so. Yeah, fine.
So looking up information on what Jack had mentioned, they have a deadline for applications by October 10th. So if this isn't the program that we're talking about, this is the one that Jack had brought up, and they do have a deadline, so, yeah.
Well, I guess it would be more about the costs that would be associated that wouldn't be covered by the FCC proposal. I guess that would be my only question.
So we need to move our October meeting. So perhaps we could move our October meeting to before then? so that we
I
could-
don't know if that would happen.
Just an idea, a thought for you to consider,
Is this
so
one?
you don't have to make a rush decision here.
I would say, I mean, I know doing a vote via email isn't great, but
Could also do
if
that.
it's timely, because we've kind of talked about it, if you can get answers out about those things, we could do it,
that
we could
too.
do it via email. If we find out that it is in fact the one that has, because there's a chance it doesn't have a deadline.
The FCC one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something about, you have to file paperwork or blah, 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 it'll be removed.
Yeah,
But
the
I didn't see
application,
the dates on there.
the application for it ended today.
Oh, okay.
That
Oh,
was, the deadline was today.
Okay.
so there's probably time.
But it said you'd be removed from the pilot program. So we've been accepted into it, but then we have to file some things to keep us as a participant. So I don't know.
Actually, the protocol, we've got a company that handles all of this for us.
Okay.
Because they handle all of our E-rate, sending to the FCC and the USAC, so, as we get a lot of, not a lot, but it's some money back for our internet services that we provide, based on our free and reduced population. But Robin works with them directly to do a lot of this stuff, because they also handle all of our technological bids and things of that nature too, so. But I believe Robin has all the documentation that she knows that she needs to have in place for this.
Okay, so why don't we take a look at that, get the answers, and we'll look to move forward via email, so that we get the deadline in, and then we'll just read it in the next meeting. But so that way,
Yeah,
we
that's
won't
fine.
get, does that work?
That works.
It wouldn't be tabled.
Procedurally, I'm trying to figure this out, because you need a motion to take it off the table, and I can't do that in there, so I guess.
Can we leave the motion on the table and just have the vote via email?
No, because you have to you remove it from the table first, and then it goes
We didn't
back into
table it. Did we
consideration.
table it?
No, I didn't yet.
Yeah, we didn't table it.
So I guess they would have to remove the motion as it stands, so remove the second, and go from there.
And then start again
As
via
as we didn't even consider it.
Okay, so then when we do the email, we'll have to have somebody, we could just do.
No, well, typically in those votes, we
just
say
do that.
we need this done, and I guess, I
You
don't know.
You do it after the fact, and
Yeah.
when you clarify it, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would recommend that you just remove the motion, or
Yeah.
withdraw the motion,
Yeah.
and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, you're good
And
with that?
I'll take care of it with Robin tomorrow.
Withdrawn, second? Okay.
Oh, my-
Second withdrawn, motion
Sorry,
withdrawn. So we'll move forward via email once we get
Perfect.
some answers. So be on the lookout for that. We'll get that done prior to our next meeting, yes.
And just for additional information, I believe this is accurate, this is a 3-year program. So it's $15,000 a year for those.
Thank you. So be on the lookout for that, and we'll move forward that way. Okay.
Okay, the next one is the Joint Finance Committee meeting prep. So just to fill you all in, at the last joint finance meeting with the city, one of the members of the committee asked the district to project out next year's budget so that the city would have an idea of how much of a deficit we anticipate for the 26-27 budget. They asked Jefferson and I if we could do that. And of course, we said, yes, of course we can do that. So the conversation tonight is about how we want that to play out in terms of doing this. So certainly, we're not gonna go through the entire budget process in 2 weeks. to come up with that number like we will in January, February, March when we go through that process. But my question to the board is how do you want Jefferson and I to proceed? Do you want us to do that on our own? Do we want to try to work with the finance committee? We have about, like I said, 2 weeks till October 1st comes up. And we also know that we are in negotiations with the teachers as well, so that's kind of a side issue to deal with as well. So I'm looking for a little bit of guidance from the board here about how you would like us to proceed to put this together for the October 1st meeting.
I have a thought on this. My thought is that with negotiations in progress, and with the teacher salary being one of, if not the largest single component of our expenditures, any public meeting about how that inputs the number that you propose to present at the Joint Finance Committee meeting could put in jeopardy the non-public nature of the negotiations. So my guidance personally would be for you and Jefferson to use your best judgment based on historicals and projected future expenses to come up with a number.
I would just add to that. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, was this in response to the question of what it would take to fix things?
Yes.
So I would say that's probably not necessarily what we would budget for next year. Because I think that's,
Yeah, this
what
is
can we
why
do?
I'm asking this question.
This is what we can do to fix things, not what can we do to get by with the money that we have. That's how I interpreted the city council's response. So I think that's what we should provide them, personally.
So do we want to then think about, and we can talk about this in finance, obviously, but the question I have is, are we gonna need another meeting of finance potentially to get this prepared for October 1st?
We have a finance committee meeting next week.
Right.
That's what I'd like to see work done behind the scenes. Like, I think that's a really great idea, about the nature of negotiations. And then I'd like to see maybe options or at least things, Dan and Jefferson to bring it to the finance committee, and walk it through, with you all, because there are 4 of you, so that's a pretty good number. And 3/4 of you are on joint finance, so, I think that would be, I'd like to see that, that kind of be the process. That would be just my thoughts.
So just to be clear, you would like to see the finance committee work with Dan and Jefferson to kind of visualize what that number.
If not visualize, then just have them run it by you.
Oh, okay.
Have them run it by you, like they'll bring, I mean, maybe they do a blue sky, maybe they do, to Laura's point, maybe there's like a bare bones, meager, like, does anybody really want this? If we're talking hyper-realism, and then like comfortable, like maybe tiers, and then I'm comfortable with having you all decide what you actually wanna bring forward to joint finance based on what they say. Because to Laura's point, it was, yeah, it's to fix things, and I think there's a lot of room for interpretation on that, so I'd like to, yeah. Pensive, yes.
So they're looking for a 26-27 fiscal year proposal?
I don't know if they specified, I think the verbiage was basically just how,
It's how you interpret it.
Yeah, how much is it gonna take?
It is up for interpretation about timeline, implementation, academic year, fiscal year. There was none of that specified, is my understanding.
They basically just asked for a number.
What?
To fix things.
Schools.
You had to be there.
Something mentioned about how much we're
Yeah.
gonna be short. I remember that saying something about being short, and how much we're gonna be short, and what we need to fix it. That was my interpretation.
So, can I ask Jefferson a question?
Yeah.
So how are you anticipating what your ask is than what this request is?
Well, I think what we have to do is look at typically what our contractual obligations are that we normally have, things like trend data with, say, health insurance premiums and stuff like that, just to maintain operations. And then we gotta determine what we would want to say, if we wanna hire more teachers or, more staff in certain areas or whatever else, what that might look like, what that cost could possibly be. So there's a potential lot of variables to look at. Obviously, using FY '27 as our baseline study, so to speak, to say, okay, FY '26's budget is this. For us to maintain operations for FY '27, this is how much more money we would need to just stay where we are. Or if we want to bring things back that we've eliminated over the years, what would that cost be related to? Yeah, exactly.
It's less just a like, what do we want, wish list kind of thing, and more, how can we build ourselves up to be competitive in the state and support our staff and our students effectively.
So a lot of times I look at, when we do our budget process, usually the requests that we get from the administration before we start doing anything, that typically is where I think we would be comfortable running our schools. And obviously, like this past year, we cut, what, $3 million?
Over $3 million.
Over $3 million, so that would be where I would think that initial ask and initial request, because that's, the principals have a good sense of what they really feel they would need, resources-wise, to run their schools as effectively as they want to. And obviously, when we start pulling the constraints in and our resources and financial obstacles to get it to where it actually has to be for us to pass the budget, then obviously we do a lot of eliminating or reallocating or things of that nature. So that's kind of the process that I think we would look at is, where we typically start off is probably where we would be the most effective in running our schools and providing the services and everything that we want to give a good quality education here in Franklin.
So they're looking for just a bottom line number.
Pretty much.
Because I also want to echo Mr. Lombardo's concerns about projecting any agreements or putting anything down in data that could be referred to later. So.
You can't put anything in there.
You can't.
It's not public protected, so.
Okay. Even projecting it. So even if you were to say, okay, well, we've done.
Okay, we would give a percentage
Right.
to our staff and, salary increases, cost of living raises, that type of stuff, and use something along that level, not necessarily any negotiation discussions that we've had with any of the CPAs.
Having this discussion, I mean, historically, we could tell in the last 2 years that we cut over 3-point-something million. I mean, that's a way of thinking of it, just to say, just from what the, not just the principals, by the way, what all the administrators submit to us. And what we could say, we could look and say, well, we cut and I'm paraphrasing it, but we cut 3.4 million last year, and the year before that, we cut 2.9 million. So if you're asking us to ballpark it, we can tell you it's usually around somewhere at like $3 million or plus dollars. I mean, maybe that's the way we maybe should approach it. That's why I wanted to have this conversation on this. That might be a better way of approaching it.
I also suspect they'll ask how you arrived at those numbers, and that's easily accessible information.
Right.
You know exactly what you cut.
So I think for me, this conversation's helped quite a bit in terms of what Jefferson and I can get together for finance, and we can continue the conversation at finance and work with the finance committee on that, I think.
Yeah, because I have, as I do every year, I have what I call like the budget comparative, which is basically just a whole list of all the items that we eliminated or reallocated to like grant funding or whatever else. So that's hard copy
Share
of
that, yeah.
visualization
That
of
might be
what we had to do to get to where we are now. And that is a pretty intense perspective of it. It's very specific too. So.
There's no subjection there. That's just the reality of what we've done, and what we did, so.
I think some of those costs are
No.
You lost a position. You lost a position for 2 years, not just one, so just, I kind of keep that in mind.
We can make that point to them as well.
Because it was 3 million, but it really was,
There's a cumulative
more.
loss
yes.
over time,
Yep.
right? All right, thank you. That was a very helpful conversation. We'll have something for finance. All right, next up, a little bit easier, I think. NHSBA, New Hampshire School Board Association resolutions. Jane is your representative for the delegate meeting. We had sent out to you by email the proposed resolutions from the NHSBA. Typically, this is the time to give feedback to Jane or any direction you want to give Jane in terms of voting on the NHSBA resolutions.
Jane, I was gonna say, yeah, Jane, do you wanna go in, well, yeah, well, I mean, I guess, like, do you wanna kinda go, like, do an overview? Are there any that you have questions on, any that you feel like warrant discussion, or you don't wanna move forward with the NHSBA's recommendation? What are your thoughts on it?
No, I don't think our challenges are limited here to Franklin. There seems to be a statewide trend. So.
I was encouraged by the resolutions that other districts were bringing up.
I mean, as folks have a chance to read through things, if you do have thoughts, feel free to reach out to me. I've registered for October 4th.
That's Saturday, yeah. I think it's the 25th.
Oh, I thought it was October 4th.
Yeah, it's late October, so it's 25th
Oh,
at 9:30.
oh, good.
I will say, I think what helped me the most reading through is the NHSBA rationale. A lot of these things have existing precedent. So it's anything that they say not support doesn't mean that they don't necessarily support the content of the resolution. It's that it's already being covered by X, Y, and Z, and sometimes they remedy language, sometimes they don't. So they also have an eye out to avoid redundancy, and they also reference, they put the text of what they're referencing in there. So I found those very helpful.
I'm just reading my registration. In order for staff to prepare for the conference, your registration link will expire 4:30 Wednesday, October 1st. I swear I got that October 4th date. Somewhere. Maybe I'll forward what I signed up for. So did they move it? Because I registered 2 months ago.
Oh, they may have moved it.
Yeah, it says big letters, new date, Saturday, October 25th.
Oh, that was nice of them to email me.
These
Wow.
registrations must be completed by October 22nd.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm gonna have to move some stuff around my schedule, but that's okay.
The only one, I will say, the only one that kind of stood out to me is, ¿dónde está? Number 21, page 13, the proposed resolution number 9 from the Concord School Board. It is about the federal Gun-Free School Zone Act and how they want that to be upheld over the state gun rules. And the rationale, the NHSBA voted to not support, and my understanding of their rationale was that they tried to put through 2 resolutions and a third proposed one. They tried to do a lot of things last year that ended up not getting voted on, and so their rationale seemed to be, since the delegates did not support last year's proposed resolution nor the proposed alternative resolution, the NHSBA Board of Directors does not believe another resolution on this topic is necessary. So it didn't work, so we're not trying again. And that was the only one that I was like, that was the only one that I had a question on. So, I mean, honestly, Jane, I trust your judgment on that, but that was the only one, I was like, huh, that I questioned, the NHSBA
So
decision.
how would you like to move forward with this? So Jane is able to represent this board.
I think, I'd say, do we need a motion? Probably not. Cause I like the idea, you're open to feedback up until and there, I mean, it's 21 pages. It actually is riveting. Usually I'm sarcastic when I say that. I actually really enjoyed reading it. So I'd say send questions and any feedback to Jane, prior, and then I'm trying to think, if we have our next meeting prior, you can kind of could you come forth and bring like, I'm going to move forward with what they recommend, or, like, could you just go over like what you're planning, and then maybe we can finalize a vote on it? Assuming that our next meeting is prior to the 25th, so we will have to work that out. Well, we have to move it. Yes. So if it ends up being on the 14th or the 21st, then we'll be okay. So I don't know if we want to do that now. Or. Awesome. Great talk.
What would you like to do, Madam Chair? What's your
Right.
direction?
Can we pick the date for the meeting so that we can
We sure can.
figure out what we're doing? So our next meeting was scheduled to be on the third Monday, which is the 20th, but it cannot be on that Monday, is my understanding, yes?
Which would have been the 20th.
Yes.
The next Monday is the 27th.
So we can either move it to the 27th. My one hesitation about that is because this meeting is as early as a third Monday can be because of the way the calendar works. It was already gonna be 5 weeks before our next meeting, and now it will be a full 6 weeks before we meet again, which can mean a long meeting. It can mean things get delayed. So I don't know if anybody is available on a Tuesday, the 14th or 21st. Instead.
21st is no good, we're still away.
We're still away, okay. So
14th?
if the 14th would work so that we can keep our meetings at a more timely cadence. Okay, yes, yes, no. Yes, no. And we don't have Marie, so we don't know. So it's already 2. Jane and Lori? Yeah, what's it looking like for you? Should be fine? Okay, so we have 2 who can't attend, and then Marie who's not here. So realistically, it could work. Is there anybody who can't do the 27th? Thoughts? Are we more concerned about 2 people being absent, or are we more concerned about going 6 weeks between meetings? Okay.
2 people absent.
So one of the people being absent. Assuming they can go. Okay, so I have 2 for that. What are your thoughts, Leanne?
I'm all right with it. I mean, I could call in probably, I'm not sure, I think I might be able to go that day.
Okay. Okay. Ruth, what do you think? Meeting 14th? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move forward with the 14th so that we can keep everything moving on. And we will be happy to bring any questions that our two non-attending members will have to hear. And yes, always feel free to call in. We haven't had a meeting of roll call votes in a long time, so it's always good. Okay.
All right, moving on. Cell phone policy.
Oh, wait,
Whoop.
sorry. So that means that Jane, can you bring to the next meeting your summary of how you'll proceed, and we will vote to formally allow Jane to support as decided on the 25th. Does that work? Cool, okay. Thank you. Okay.
All right, we're good. Good. All right, cell phone implementation of the policy. So we have now 10 days of school. I think from everyone's perspective, it's gone way better than anyone anticipated. Certainly at the high school and the middle school, it's been, I've received really good feedback from several teachers who are pleasantly surprised at how well it's gone. In terms of accommodation plans, I've only met with 3 parents to come up with 3 accommodation plans for the whole district. And those went really well, those meetings, and we've communicated those out. In terms of infractions, elementary school had only one minor situation. Middle school has had 10 warnings, with 1 going to a 3rd strike at this point. And then Dave, you want to share how you're doing at the high school here?
So we've had 10 infractions, with 2 of those 10 going to us taking the phone from the student.
So what I would say is that the students' behavior and attitudes have been very respectful to this point. We have noticed certainly a lot of more engagement in cafeteria when kids have lunch, which is great to see. Teacher reported to me today that they were pleasantly surprised at how much more engaged kids have been in the classroom. They weren't expecting that. They expected it to be a big fight. So I'm cautiously optimistic about how we're doing. We are still maybe a little bit in the honeymoon season for this new law, but by all accounts, the students are taking this seriously and respecting the law, and respecting the fact that this board gave them a policy that was a little more lenient perhaps than some of the neighboring schools, and seem to be rising to the occasion. So I don't know, Dave or Kaylee, if you have anything else to add on that, specifically at the high school. But
I think it's gone, the noise level is clearly higher at lunches and different things like that. When I asked the teachers at our first meeting how things are going on a scale of 5 to 1, most of them were at 4 or 5 and really happy with the cell phone. They're seeing more students engaged in class. They're seeing more students doing. One student made the comment that they wrote more on the first day than they did their whole high school career so far, which is a good thing. I'm sure there's some sarcasm in there, but I think that's what we're seeing. The kids are asking good questions like, can I bring an MP3 player, or can I do this, or can I do that? So they're not just jumping around and trying to be sneaky with it. I remind them, and again, trying to teach them some grace with this whole process, that it's a law, it's just what the expectations are. The letters that we created go out almost instantly, so by the time the green form is written, the letter's gone home, and we've not gotten any pushback from families as of yet about. I had one person complain about the cell phone law, but I had to explain it. It's a policy here about what the expectations are. Some interesting questions that we are facing, and Chris and I were talking about this before, is on our project blocks, we use our phones a lot for like pictures and things like that, and we're going, oh, well, we can't take our phones. So how do we navigate some of those things? We have probably 3 or 4 students that are using MP3 players. I haven't seen the shuffles come back till now, and things like that, so that's interesting. questions about headphones, and I keep telling teachers it's at your discretion. If they need to be off, take the headphones out, we'll support you that way. But all in all, it's been a pretty quiet start to the cell phone law that has come about. We did here, I did a whole school-wide, 2 groups of going over the cell phone and questions and handbooks and things like that, and it went really well. But again, kids have been pretty good as far as polite and asking the right questions and how to navigate and what to do and things like that, so.
All right, next up is the focus walk schedule for 25-26. So I asked Jewel and Carissa to come ready to talk about focus walks.
Well, I'm just gonna do the pile, and when there's extras down by Kayla, I'll just grab them later. So Carissa and I met and talked about a few different successes and things that we wanted to improve, and Carissa, jump in anytime, on last year's focus walks and then moving into this year. One of the things we wanna try this year is doing focused focus walks, meaning we want to set up some focus walks that are just for administrators to focus and spend time in each other's buildings. We want to do focus walks that are focused just on our school board, which I know is one of your goals. And then we will move into providing opportunities for staff like we did last year, because the overwhelming feedback from them was they really benefited from getting out and seeing each other's classrooms, and especially getting into the other buildings. And having taught here for 22 years, I know that feeling of isolation and not knowing what's going on in the other 2 buildings. So it was very beneficial. So this particular schedule obviously pertains to our school board. I know that your goal is to focus on one school. So it's set up that you can do that, if that works best for your own lives and your work schedules and everything else you have going on. If you want to try getting into more than one school, hopefully we set up a schedule that's flexible enough. It gives you 2 opportunities, for each school at different times of the day and different times of the week. So if you want to focus on Paul Smith and you are able to, you'd be able to get there on one day in the morning and then a different day of the week in the afternoon, so that you can try to see 2 totally different things in the same building or in different buildings. When I first did it, I had also set up a schedule that started, I think it was like early November, and Chris is like, let's bump this to the spring so they have plenty of time to plan way ahead and make sure that they can work things out. Because being one of the goals, I know it's important that we make it accommodating for you to be able to get in there. The other thing it says at the bottom, last year, because I had to monitor so many different people across the district, I did Google sign-up sheets. This time, because it's much more controlled and different ones, if you want to participate in one of these focus walks, just email me and let me know, or we can talk at a board meeting. We're going to have 2 or 3 other ones between now and when they start, and I'll bring them up again and we'll remind people. But if you want to do one, just say, hey, I'm going to do this one. If you want to get together with a couple other board members and pick one to do together, whatever works best for you. If nobody reaches out to me, then we just won't do that one. We are going to reach out to our staff before these start and specifically ask the staff what they would like you, bless you, to be looking for on these walks, other than the things that you'll be looking for that you would look for anyway. But that's kind of our goal. Last year we had very focused themes for each walk, but this time we're gonna actually ask the staff what they would like people looking for. And that's kind of our goal with this year, and we'll see how they go this year, and then we'll move on from there. I don't know if there's thoughts or questions. There is time to fix it, so if we don't think it's gonna work, we certainly can also tweak it because there's time.
Thank you for putting that together.
Yep.
All right. And then Carissa is going to update us on our communications implementation, the work that she's been doing.
I have a lot of stuff for you. These are packets, so there's like 4 sheets. Alright, so hopefully you've been on
some of the posts that we've been doing. We got every single new staff member. We got every single new staff member highlighted, except for I have 2 support professionals at the elementary school that I'm still waiting to get feedback on, or get their picture and a little camera shy. So those have gone out, and we have really good feedback on that. So the engagement was huge. Like it's a 5,000% engagement. So people are liking, people are commenting. More people are looking at the Facebook page in particular. And we also posted a reminder about today's meeting, and we'll continue to do that kind of stuff. So that's one of the pieces for communications. We also, for the district, have an internal for staff that will go out every week. We did our first one last week that has an update for what staff needs to know from each department. So each department in the district-wide system has an opportunity to say, like for tech, here's what the teachers need to know for tech or the staff. Food service has their opportunity, superintendent has his, so it's just one communication rather than a bunch of emails that go out, and hopefully the cadence to be able to produce that every week so people will be looking for it. There's also in here a district digest. So I know one of the pieces of feedback from our goal setting work was that you wanted to kind of make what happens in this meeting and in the board reports more visible to the public. So this is the district digest that we would perhaps print out and put in a couple of places around Franklin, but then there would be a longer piece. So every school would have a piece in the Office of School Wellness. So it would be a monthly sort of digest for what's happening in the schools, taking the reports that everybody writes and then bringing them out to be more digestible, essentially, for the public. So that's just a sample. It's not finished. It's just what it looks like. We're also doing these posts, the SAU staff or students and their commitments in the portrait. So this one went up at 6 o'clock tonight. This is about a grant and some updating in the high school and the SAU offices. So it's going really well. I don't know, the numbers are huge for Facebook in particular. We've got more people are following, more people are paying attention, which is great. Also, I just included these in this packet for you. I don't know if there's something else on here, but I have this goals. So this is your reflections and the impacts of your last year's goals on you. So there's quotes from you and just a summary of your goals. That's going on your goal page on your website. And then I also have given you a copy of your goals. Liz read them at the last meeting, but this is also going on your website. And then on the back, you can see the administrative goals for the commitment to humanity. So this is what we're working on and bringing to our September 24th meeting for Portrait of a Graduate. So this is a lot of stuff, but visually, hopefully, it helps with communicating out things that you all are doing. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Carissa.
And that is all I have under new business.
All right. Well, this is pretty timely. So item 12, we have school board goals update. Y'all are meeting later this month, correct? I think we said it at the end of the 30th.
30th at 5 o'clock.
Okay, perfect. So, I mean, we have our goals. We have a template that might be fun to work with. Do you have any updates in the meantime? No. Okay. I imagine not. Excellent. We look forward, now that we have our goals, look forward to hearing more about that. And we will move on to item 13, policy. We have no first reads. We absolutely will next month, I'll tell you that. But now we have 3 second reads. We have BEDG, EBCH and EHAG that need to be approved. All right, motion made by Leanne. Seconded by Mike. Any questions, comments?
Are these located in the policy portion of the thing? Because when I try and click on them, it seems like a pop-up where I can't get in.
Yeah, we can't open the,
We can't open the first or second read and then
In
in the shared drive,
Yeah.
the shared drive, the
if
ones
you,
that are in there.
if you go to policy,
Oh, in a preview file.
yeah.
If you download it, does it work? Interesting. Interesting. They worked last month.
I tried it and it made me set up an Adobe account.
No.
it does not work if I download it either.
They are on, any of these,
They would say they would be in the subcommittee policy drive if you have to do a search.
yeah,
Would they
Okay.
be in last month's first read?
yeah, last month's first reads,
Okay.
there, no, there were not any changes from that, if that helps.
I'll copy and paste them over.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Jefferson will put them in there. But yes, unless there are any changes now, there have not been any additional changes. Great question, thank you for bringing that up. Any other comments or questions? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, the policies are approved for second read. Thank you. Late items and other, I know that Jefferson has a quick late item regarding one of our earlier items. Go ahead, Jefferson.
All right, so this is back to the cybersecurity grant. So several things. This particular grant, our costs have already been budgeted of this. As is a 3-year program, this cybersecurity grant, the intent of it is to protect us from what they call DDoS attacks, which are distributed denial of service, which basically means it's a swarm attacking your system and causes it to shut down. So that's what this grant is funding. The Overwatch grant, we actually have implemented everything on that. If you read through what they say the Overwatch grant is for, CrowdStrike, 3 years CrowdStrike, we're actually installing CrowdStrike already. Modern firewall with implementation and training, we've put in a program called Fortinet, which is our firewall protection. The YubiKey implementation, which Dan showed you, we already have that in place. Migrating our things over to the .gov on our email program. Yeah, cybersecurity training, which we do all the time. We get emails, the staff gets emails directly that they have to perform these cybersecurity training. So all this stuff has already been implemented for Overwatch, and it cost us nothing. So she already took advantage of that particular grant. The cybersecurity pilot program that we're taking up does not work against us in any other grants. So I don't know if you want to revisit the discussion on that. Our cost contribution to that, she says, around $5,000. We've already budgeted for it. So, and that's what the intent of that pilot program will be for, is to protect us from swarm attacks, so to speak, with DDoS.
Does that cover everything? Are there any other outstanding questions about that item?
I move to reinstate the motion to accept.
We approved the motion. We got a new motion.
I move to make a motion, I make a motion to, to accept the grant offer from the Cybersecurity Pilot Program Participant Selection Award for $45,000 over 3 years.
Okay, motion by Michael, seconded by Ruth. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. Thank you so much for that quick work.
Glad that we get the information.
If I may direct to Dan, was there not another item you?
I had 2 of them.
Oh, yeah, I just knew that one.
Oh,
That one, it was freshest in the memory, so I wanted to, so, yes, other late items.
Yes. So I have a resignation I need the board to accept for Kathy Shackford, 8th grade science teacher at the middle school.
Make a motion to approve the
Resignation.
thank you,
Yeah.
as presented.
Okay, motion made by Jack, seconded by Leanne. Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Opposed? I'm gonna stop doing. All right, motion passes.
Okay, and then the other conversation I want to have tonight is I was going to bring this to finance, but I think perhaps timeliness means we could potentially move quicker than waiting another month. We have some out-of-district transportation costs that I've been looking into, and out-of-district transportation costs for some out-of-district students can run anywhere from $400 to $500 per day. We have started, and with Jefferson's great work, we have got one of our vans certified as a school bus, and we have put one of our employees through the bus driver training program, and she's a certified bus driver now. So we already have a driver and a van being used as a school bus to deal with a couple of out-of-district situations. We have some more to deal with. At $450 to $500 a day for transportation, you're talking about over $80,000 cost for a 180-day school year. So my thought process when I learned of this last week is that perhaps we ought to think about buying another vehicle and trying to hire or train another driver, because we can do it for less than $80,000, and we would have a van for at least, 9-10 more years that we would be able to use as a school bus. So I think that I am comfortable talking to the board about this tonight, trying to get the board to approve us moving forward. We have shown that we can do this. We are already doing this with our existing van and an existing employee. So my preference would be for us to consider allowing us to purchase another van or similar vehicle so that we can provide this transportation on our own and have this another vehicle versus just paying out $400 to $500 per day for a service that we'll have to pay for as long as we have these situations come up. So I had asked Jefferson to look at the state bid, and he's got some information on the state bid that he can talk to you about. What we did learn is that to be certified as a bus, you have to be less than 10 passengers. Jefferson, you want to go through that with them?
Yeah, the only vehicle that we own that could qualify for that was the Dodge Sprinter van, because it was a 10-passenger van. Anything bigger, we have the two other vans that are 12-passenger, and those are too big for the requirement, other than actually getting a real school bus. We can use the larger vans for school-to-school type transportation without having, weirdly enough, a certified driver to drive it. Anybody can drive it as long as they're, we allow it. But to drive a student from home to school has to have, the vehicle has to be school bus certified, which means it has to go to a school bus inspection station, which is the only one in the area is Eurasian. And it has to be a 10-passenger or less, which is basically any passenger vehicle falls into that category. SUV like a Tahoe or Expedition or Explorer or minivans or anything like that, or even Corollas and sedans and whatever else. So obviously that's what we would be looking at to see, because anytime we have a situation where we need to drive a child from their home to an educational institution, that's the type of vehicle that we are allowed to use to do that. And the vehicle has to be certified through the inspection station, and the driver has to pass all the requirements, go through the required amount of training, which we do have a service provider has actually worked with us over the past few years, has been doing that. He trained the person we currently are using right now, and I have somebody else on staff that is going to be going through the training also, certainly as a backup too, because if the original driver isn't available, it's nice to have another one, but then the issue comes down to the vehicle, just getting a vehicle to be used for that purpose. And I have the state bidding vehicles, not that we're restricted by that particular, usually they get the best rates, but they have a number of vehicles that have been approved on a state contract, which means that all extends to all municipalities throughout the state of New Hampshire. Things like a Hyundai Sonata, Nissan Sentra, Toyota Camry, Corolla, Subaru Impreza, Chevy Trailblazer, Jeep Compass, Chevy Equinox, Ford Escape, Ford Explorer, Jeep Grand Cherokee or Cherokee Laredo, Wagoneer, Expedition or Tahoes, or there's a Chrysler Voyager minivan that fell into the bid. I'm also looking on, I went on like Planet Honda and Irwin Toyota, and they have Siennas, Toyota Siennas, and Honda, I forget what they call it, their minivan, but in like the low to mid 40s as MSRP. So obviously, I'll probably use Dan Clark as our negotiator to go in and get a better price if we wanted to do that too. So that gives us options as to potential vehicles to provide that service.
So I'm wondering if this might be a good opportunity for us to consider a potential future need. So there are like enhanced accessibility and wheelchair accessible vans, which I don't believe we currently have a need for, but if we're gonna get an additional vehicle, for specific use of like out of district placements, let's say, would it potentially make sense to think about buying an enhanced accessibility vehicle so that we could use it now for any current need, but also prepare ourselves just in case, like there's a future need, right? We wouldn't have to make that purchase again, or we wouldn't have to pay an outside contractor, like at that time, if that were to come to pass. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what you all think about that, but if let's say next year, right, we have a student who requires that service, right, then next year we're going to be out of pocket maybe the $450 a day potentially. This could, right, if we're considering purchasing another vehicle, we could potentially think forward and.
I think we should be thinking about accessibility. We can.
They're more expensive.
And just say, I wonder.
I'm looking here right now. I mean, like, the used ones start like in the 20s for ones that like are, several years old, but they go up.
What's the capacity in those vans?
I don't know.
Variance, just speaking on behalf of my work, like some just have the pull out with like 2 bench seats in front, so you could technically have like 5 or 6, but tracking down what will best fit our needs, I can see would be a challenge, but maybe worth exploring. Like what is available that offers accessibility to mobility impaired students?
I think it makes sense just in general, right? Because you're going to have students who have disabilities that we want to offer opportunity outside of the school. How are we providing that today?
Especially if the majority of the transportation that we're going to use it for is out of district placement for special education reasons. It's like.
If we use it, if we have it for an hour in the morning and an hour at the end of the day, several hours in the middle of the day, that vehicle is useful.
Yeah, sure.
And maybe someday we'll have a student mobility challenge. There's no IEP, but they want to take a class at the Tech or at WIC. Wouldn't that be great to say, yes, we can do it?
So I'm just doing a quick search here. There's a Toyota Sienna rear accessible. I don't actually know how many people can fit in it, but it's right around $77,000. So it is a considerable premium. That's brand new.
So I wonder, do we want to, I know in the past when there haven't been vehicles already, we've set a sort of amount and have set Janet Jefferson on the internet and to go to places to kind of find one and bring options for us. And we've done that in the past.
retrofit a van that you buy, like always accessible at Hudson? I mean, that's just another thought is,
Yeah, we've never gone down that road because we would typically, I'm just trying to think of the last 10 years. We would typically use our bus company and the special education contract that we have with them for that type of transportation. I'm trying to think of, I can't think of any situation where this would have been put into play. Doesn't make it wrong to consider though, just not something though that would have been used in the past.
just a thought, I wonder if they'd give you a quote if you had a van in mind, you know, what it would cost for them to add that,
Right, yeah.
you know, pull out ramp or.
If we go with something that could be retrofitted, then we could use it now and also have that opportunity in the future, which could be good.
We only have one vehicle that would qualify.
The Odyssey.
And I don't know if that vehicle could possibly be retrofitted just based on the chassis of it.
Always accessible is how you.
You take one of our current vans and reduce its total capacity.
We already asked that. We already asked
That's
that.
my question.
They said no, yeah, we asked that, we thought of that.
But if you were to make it accessible by
Retrofit.
removing seats, then it would essentially.
said take seats out of it, would make it less than 10, 12 passenger van. After 10, they said, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So what if we, just spitballing here, what if we made a motion to budget a specific amount toward this, but with, special emphasis on, either current or future capacity for accessibility? And then just something to keep in mind as you're shopping for a van. Can we do that? And I guess it doesn't really have any teeth. But
Well, in the past, we've had like proposals of like in, I don't want the board to get in car shopping business. I want to leave this up to our administrators to come forward with proposals, and the board can discuss them and approve them or deny them, you know what I mean? But, I mean, this is great idea, and ideas for administration to consider. I think the original proposals to offset a potential, or to reduce our fiscal budget line for this, for an unanticipated cost that we didn't really foresee based on circumstance. So if their proposal is to try to implement a cost-saving measure by purchasing our own district van to save money over time, that's sort of what I would like to make sure that we're considering as a board. So instead of spending this much in transportation for transporting 2 to 3 kids somewhere, if we purchase our own vehicle, this is how much the board could end up saving. This is what you'd be.
I agree with you, Jack, on the cost emphasis. I think for me, the most important part is the off-campus opportunities that we have could be accessible to qualifying students to participate.
Yes, we also have a contract that they are supposed to fulfill based on student need. So we already have those factors in play with our current.
So there's already the ability for those students to participate in those things.
Yes,
based on what we have.
they have to fulfill that. It's part of the contract.
Like Running Start, there's a accessible bus to bring kids over to biology at the
We have a contract
time.
with the bus company that requires them to provide that already. That's what Jack's trying to explain. So like, if a student needed to get to an after-school event, we're obligated with the bus company to provide that, so there is no missed opportunity for a student already. We're bound to make sure that doesn't happen already. So I don't think it should be a factor in what we're trying to do to solve an issue that's hitting us right immediately, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, we know we have these situations, we know we're gonna continue to have these types of situations. I'm trying to have us save money in the short term and the long term, instead of putting out money every day that we know we don't get any return on, I guess is what I'm saying.
Is there a specific vehicle and dollar amount that is being proposed?
We haven't gotten to that point yet.
Oh, okay.
So just so I make sure I understand, and thank you very much, both of you, for mentioning that there is a contract. So hypothetically, if we had a student who had an out-of-district placement based on an IEP, we have to pay for that transportation separately. But if that same student had a physical restriction that would require them to use a specially equipped vehicle to get to that out-of-district placement, then our contract would cover that?
So there's a couple different ways you could approach that. A lot of times, we reimburse families for doing that kind of transportation because of the situation with the actual student, that they already have vehicles that are already retrofitted and we just reimburse, so we've done that in the past. We also have our bus company that has the specially outfitted buses to provide, and we've always done that as well. So, I mean, those are usually the first two ways that we address those types of situations when they come up.
So the contract that we have, if there was a student who needed that type of service to attend an outside of classroom learning opportunity, our current contract would cover that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, as they said, whether it was through our bus transportation or reimbursement to family. But they have an equalized access to their education no matter what opportunity. So it's available to them, it's available to anybody.
That's federal law.
Yeah. But I think what we're trying to be more fiscally responsible about are the other transportation companies that are charging $450 to $500. Homeward Bound? No, that's a dog movie, sorry. I can't remember. Some of the transportation companies out there that exist. Yes, any of those, yes, which we could save money if we were to have our own vehicles to provide this transportation instead of paying for somebody else's vehicle and for somebody else's driver. So I think that's the point.
We're also using our own employees to do that, which in terms of safety is a better plan for the kids as well.
It's just a side question on that, not necessarily related to purchasing van that I do support. Have we talked to Winnisquam or any of the, about?
I did speak to Winnisquam.
Okay, because I know we talked about that previously.
Yeah, I spoke to the superintendent about it last week and said that we're ready to partner with them now that we have our driver in place as well, so that's another avenue that we're exploring.
That's a good question, thank you for bringing that up.
Good discussion. I think with the many economies going, things aren't gonna get cheaper. They're just gonna get more expensive too. So that's something to think about.
Well, I guess my point of view on this one is, the money's gonna go out one way or the other. The question is, do you wanna
Is
pay
it an investment
to
or
a company to do this for a year and then have to pay it again next year, or do you wanna buy a vehicle that we'll have for hopefully a long, long time that we can continue to use and save money over time? So that's my point of view on this. I know it's gonna cost me $80,000 to do this transportation for the year. So my preference is that we buy a vehicle, use our own driver, and we save that money over time and have the van for the future.
If I remember correctly, when we bought our last van, there was a grant funding component to that?
Yeah, transportation aid grant, that was like a one-time grant. I don't know if that'll become up again, it's not a cyclical
It
grant.
was the vocational education, vocational transportation grant that we used to get that van, yeah.
Okay.
good memory? It was good, it was worth a shot.
So do we need to vote on a dollar amount?
I think there's a vehicle. Is there a vehicle? No.
We have not picked out a specific vehicle. The question becomes whether we wanted a sedan that would only hold 3 or 4 students, or would you like us to get something bigger that costs a little bit more money but would hold up to 6 or 7 students?
Look, I don't personally have, minivans, I mean,
Yeah, minivans.
I think they're way more gas efficient than an SUV. I think an SUV would be a little overkill, but a sedan is a little limited.
You can put the leaves down in Mason, and you put half of the football team gear in there, and like.
Yeah, I think a minivan makes the most
Yeah.
sense.
They are less expensive than
Yes.
SUVs.
Yes. My brace bus in middle school was a minivan. That thing was great.
Is there a minivan on that list, Jefferson?
The only one that's on
It's a
that
house
list
here.
was the Chrysler Pacifica or Voyager. The amount on that, and that was through Central Dodge, I'm not sure where that is. It's $40,180 for that particular vehicle. However, I did some research on my own too with Planet Honda, which is right up the road, and Irwin Marine. Planet Honda has the Honda, Christ, I was just looking at it, Odyssey, what they call it.
Odyssey.
So their low-end costs, retail, here's one like $44,290,
The Odyssey?
and that's MSRP on it. Yeah, it's the Odyssey. Irwin has the Siennas. I looked at Grapponi. Grapponi doesn't have any Siennas in stock. But the Toyota Sienna's here, $43,850.
45 and 50 seem to be.
And these are obviously the low-end models and not the ones that have all the bells and whistles to it, but that's, we don't need that, so.
I have concerns regarding Chrysler.
Yeah, I have concerns too.
Still, well, for those of you who aren't like into cars, Stellantis, the company that produces Chrysler and Fiat, they're not in the greatest shape right now. So I have concerns about long-term maintenance and parts availability for that vehicle.
Yeah, the reliability, obviously, if you're going with like Toyota or Honda.
Yeah, Toyota and Honda are up there.
Much better track record in that regard.
Is there an amount that you would feel?
If I were gonna throw a number out there, I would say 45 at the ceiling.
That was gonna be my number too.
45? Board, what number are we feeling?
And that's only the entrance fee, because then we'll have that vehicle for, 7, 8 plus years possibly, depending on how much you drive it, and maybe longer, and the maintenance costs, obviously, are not gonna be extensive on those.
Do they have any grants, like through special need buses, like if you was to get a minivan? Is there any grants available that could help us?
We can certainly try and find anything if there's anything out there that's easily accessible to us.
If 50,000 gets us an all-wheel drive minivan?
Well, is anything all-wheel drive, you're doing more maintenance with your wheels, so your wheel bearings, tire rods, aren't those being replaced more often with all-wheel drive vehicles?
Tires have to be replaced all at once?
No,
There's
your tire
different-
rods and wheel bearings.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve administration to purchase a vehicle up to $50,000, taking into the preference of the board, discussions-wise, van over sedan, blah, 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 blah. Don't blah, 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 blah on the motion.
Second, including the blah, blah, blah.
Second, including the blah, blah, blah.
We heard you loud and clear.
Motion made by Jack, seconded by Michael. Any additional questions or comments? All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
That's all I have tonight.
All right. Any other late or other items?
One, I just wanna make sure that, part of public participation is for people to be able to engage with the board. So if people come to talk to us, I know that we don't have a back and forth discussion, but I do want the public to know that we do listen to what they're saying, and it's sort of up to the board and to work with the superintendent to figure out how to address specific concerns that come up during public comment. So, I just don't want to think that the student representative, Bacon, that spoke with us earlier today, that we are listening and that we just can't engage in a discussion.
That is a great point, yeah, because I'm realizing as you say that people don't see the notes that we take, the questions that we're writing down, and the additional conversations we're having. So yeah, expect to see that in future committee work and here, so yes. Good
Thank
point. Well made. Anything else, other late items, other items? Okay, next we will move, speaking of public participation, we'll move into item 15, or public participation. Again, we'll keep it to half an hour, try to keep your comments to 3 minutes, and state your name and which ward you live in if you would like to speak. Are there members of the public who would like to speak?
Hi, I'm Lily Bacon. I believe I'm Ward 3. I just want to say that I know that we're struggling, every school district is struggling, but I really wish there was some way that we could figure out how to do our jobs in such a way that we're not 2 weeks into the school year and some of the teachers are still sending emails home saying that they don't have their curriculums yet. I know we're like behind everyone, our kids are struggling, and it doesn't help when the teachers don't have their curriculums yet. So they're doing the best that they can, and if they're anything like I am, which thank God I'm a speech path and I know what I'm doing from day one, they're gonna take some time to figure out how to use that curriculum, and that's just gonna add more time into it. I'm just putting out there that I wish there was some way that we could guarantee that before these teachers, especially the new ones to our district, come in on day one, whatever the apps are that they're using, their learning beans, their math things, their iExcels, all of it is set up and ready to go so that they're not in the middle of something and it crashes. They're not in math class or they're not in geography, going through these different things and they're literally saying, we don't have our workbooks yet. We're still reviewing because we don't have our workbooks yet. So I'm just putting that out there to make sure that you are aware that we are 2 weeks in, going into 3rd week, and some of our teachers don't have their curriculums that I believe have been ordered. They're just not here yet. So I don't know if you know that already, but I'm just putting it out there and I'm hoping that maybe next year that won't be a problem. And again, I don't know if it's the distributor that hasn't sent it, if it's on back order. What I know is that my son wants to be a mechanical engineer. That means math is very important in my household. And when they don't have their math yet, it hurts my heart because then he's falling behind and he hasn't even had a chance because they're not prepared, which isn't really his fault. But when the testing comes and our kids are going in the bottom of it. So anyway, I said my piece. I still love you guys and respect everything that you do, but I just want to put that out there.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? All right, thank you. Seeing none, we'll close item 15 and move to item 16, sealing of our non-public minutes for today, September 15th.
Make a motion that we seal the non-public meeting minutes from 25th, or September 15th.
Okay, motion made by Michael.
Second.
Ooh, I don't think we're giving Kayla one. Seconded by Kayla. Any questions, comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions, 1 abstention. Jane? All right, motion passes, minutes are sealed, and item 17. I'll accept the motion. Motion made by Leanne, seconded by Michael. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.